And we are live. Hello. Welcome to the kitchen. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. We are going to be taking a look at a plant based recipe. As well as here in the kitchen, we do a lot of chatting. So, because of that, but we make sure that the things that we're chatting about in the kitchen, that we're talking about things that are important to both ourselves as well as our family. And today we're going to talk about our plant based lifestyle. What does that have to look like? What is it looking like? And how will you know if it's really working? Now, there are some things that I'm going to be working here as we're going through. I want to remind you to definitely take a moment. And if you're not a subscriber, this may be where you want to land your feet. So please subscribe. And before you leave, please, if you like these kind of videos, please be sure to hit that like button. And certainly, I would appreciate your sharing this particular channel with your friends because let's face it, we all have things that we need to do in order to improve our health or to keep from having health problems later on down the line. So I'm hoping that you're going to take a moment to be able to do that. Now, we're going to talk about some of the things that we want to be able to do as we get into the kitchen, as we think about our meals and our plans, because certainly that's a part of what we're going to do is that we're going to plan, we're going to know what we're doing, we're going to shop smart and make sure that the things we really need are right here in the kitchen. Because I've learned a few things over the past few months in my plant based journey, and I am willing to certainly share those with you. Now, first of all, my first thing was to try to eliminate the sugars, the salt, and most of the oils. Now, sometimes we just can't get rid of all the oils. It depends on what the product is that we're using. If we're using something that's not fresh, then there may be a little touch of salt. But if we read the labels, we can make sure that we have the least amount of salt and the least amount of sugar and the least amount of oil. And if we have oil, we want to make sure that that's the only oil there is and that there's no preservatives, a part of it. So those are things that we want to be able to think about. Also, another thing we want to do is that we want to make sure that we're adding whole foods. And that means unprocessed foods, such as your fruits, such as your vegetables. For those of you who may not be meat-based, you can certainly add lean proteins to your diet and still accomplish many of the goals that I'm trying to accomplish with my plant-based lifestyle, as well as we want to use whole grains. And because we're looking at our nutrient density, we want to make sure that we have nuts, but we're not using nuts all the time because they have the oils, the natural oils, they have the fat that we need a little bit of fat. But the reality of it is that we want to make sure that our nuts are healthy, and we want to make sure that we're limiting the number of nuts that we have. So those are some of the things that we're certainly going to take a look at as we're working. Now, today, I'm putting a dish together. This week, Mardi Gras is jumping down in Louisiana. And this Southern girl has to think about the fact that there are some dishes that I absolutely love and miss that I haven't had in a while because of the fact that I've been trying to cut back on the meat and that I have been limiting the oils And if you have some of these dishes originally in your repertoire of cooking, then it may be that the way you used to fix it, that you had all of that. It had oils, it had meat, it had all those things. So today we're going to do a one pot slow cooker. Going to put that together and of Louisiana style red beans and rice. And we are doing this meat free, oil free, and as close to sugar free as I can possibly get it. So let's get started. Hello, hello, hello to those of you who are able to drop in with us today. We've got Michelle who is here with us. Happy Monday, Michelle. We've got Ann Allen who's with you. And, Ann, I am doing a job for church, and not a real job, but, volunteering. And so because of that, the Monday shows are going to need to be every other week. And that's the agreement that I made when I agreed to do the project, was to have every other Monday. And on the Mondays when I'm not there, then I'm going to be right here with you. So we're going to have a good time. Now I'm going to turn you down just a little bit so you can see what we're doing. And I'll squat down when I need to so we can talk, because that's the fun part. Now, some of you have larger families. Let me just say that. I know some of you have your children. You may even have grandchildren with you. And besides you and your hubby or your partner. And so because of that, we have to control what we eat and how much that we're cooking in our kitchens by, sometimes, this has been my go-to thing. I control the amount that I cook by limiting the size of the vessel that I'm going to cook it in. And so I've tried to make sure, because everything I had was big, because I was always cooking massive amounts of things. And so I started to purchase things that were smaller. And so this is a nice 4.5 quart crock pot that is just perfect for a family of 4, so that you can sit down and prepare your meal. And if you're working, whether it's at home, whether you're homeschooling, whether you're going out to work, whatever the situation may be, and it may not be work, you may be going out having a good time, but you just want to be able to come back in and have your meal ready. So this 4.5 quart is what we're going to be using today. Now, like I said, we're fixing Louisiana red beans and rice. I got my recipe here that I normally use, and I had to tweak it because I wanted to stay with my plant base. And I have to be honest with you. This has been, this past weekend, woo-wee, the girl was off the chart. I have to admit, okay, I'm letting you know, we goof sometimes. I'm on my plant-based journey, but sometimes you have special occasions that you need to celebrate. And so when you do, it may be that you may not be able to stick with that plant-based journey. And you could, but you're in certain places that you really love. And so because of that, you'll take an evening or an afternoon and you will do and eat whatever it is. Now, so I'll tell you my dirty secret. My dirty secret is that we went to this fantastic restaurant for the big guy's birthday. And oh my goodness, the food was dynamic. Now, and I'm going to tell you more about that. Now, I'm starting with a full container of, these are red and green peppers. There's some onion in there. And It smells wonderful. Now, it normally is frozen, but I purposely put it into the refrigerator last night so that it could thaw. And I know that by dinner time, this dish is going to be together. So I'm putting that entire bag. And let me see if I can remember the size of the bag. And I may not be, I may be able to do that for you. I didn't think about that when I was putting it together. This bag is a 20-ounce bag, a 20-ounce bag of peppers and onions. And the nice thing about it is that, sometimes we just don't have time to do all the cutting, the dicing, the slicing. Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. And today was one of those days when I was working and trying to get everything together. And like I said, it's been a busy weekend. And so I didn't have everything quite as organized as normal. So anyway, I have my peppers in the bottom because Louisiana, it's all about the fresh, girl. You got your peppers, your onions, and we're getting ready to add a few more because we want as many vegetables in these red beans and rice that we can possibly do. Now, I have already diced and sliced another onion because we like onion. Now, if you don't like onion, then, limit it to what's in this package because there's not a lot of onion in there. Probably a fourth of an onion is actually in that package. But I want to kick it up and I want more. I also wanted celery to be a part of that. So I'm going to add the onions. I'm going to add the celery. So, I'm always trying to get us up as close as we can to 5 or 6 vegetables. So we've got red peppers, green peppers, we've got celery, we've got onion that's in there. So we're right at 4. And I'm going to add a can of, and the only reason I'm using these particular types of tomatoes is because of the fact that I had them. They were already on the shelf. These are the fire roasted diced tomatoes. I like tomato in my red beans and rice. So I'm going to add this full can and I'm going to get all of this stirred up. Now, this is not a soup. We're going to serve this when it's ready over rice. And you could certainly add, if you wanted to put something else green in there, you could certainly do that. I'm not because I'm trying to stick with the original recipe. Now, I took my red beans. I had about 2 cups of red beans that I soaked overnight. So I'm going to pour the soaking liquid off. Let me get that off. Okay, and I'm going to toss all of these into our mixture. So our red beans are in. They had already been cleaned. And like I said, I put them in and let them just get happy in the liquid so that when it's time for them to cook, they'll be able to do that very easily. Now, like I said, my dirty secret. So how many of you watched the Super Bowl and you were happy with your ending? Oh, I couldn't believe the game. The game was fantastic. And I won't say who I was cheering for because I like both teams. And I'm not really a big NFL person, but I like to watch football occasionally, and Super Bowl is one of those things that I like to be able to watch. Now, if we were going to prepare the true blue Louisiana red beans and rice, we would have good sausages that are pork sausages that we would be adding to this mixture, but not today. We are going to put in 2 different kinds of vegetable-based meats. So I'm adding one that is more, the sausage is more like, kind of like your breakfast sausage, but like I said, it's plant-based. The other one is more of an Italian flavored based sausage. So both of those are going to go in. This is going to be a hearty dish. So all of that's going in. And you notice this little 4.5 quart is holding all of this. Okay. Rinse my hands real quick. Okay. Now, that little piece of celery that ran away. I'm looking. Hello, Kelly. Kelly's with us. She said she totally forgot it was Super Bowl yesterday. What? Oh, Kelly. She says she lives overseas and pretty much nobody watches American football. Plus, the game starts super late, I'm sure. Because to be honest with you, Kelly, it started at 6:30 here on the East Coast. And it was late for me. We had to go out, and all of us, by the time the game was over, we were all just about doing this, drop our heads falling because we had gotten sleepy because it was late. It was a late game, but it was a fun time. Charlene is with us, Charlene Jackson. That's okay. She said she's sorry she's late. She had to take care of her mom, but glad to be here. You know what? I'm a mom, and I appreciate the fact that you're taking time to help your mom. That is a wonderful thing. She didn't watch the Super Bowl, which was odd for her. And, sometimes I don't always watch it. I was more about the music and the halftime than I really was about the group. Kelly said 6:30 Eastern time is 11:30. Oh, no wonder, Kelly. No, I hear you. 11:30. That's one of those things you get your DVR and you just hit record and catch it the next day. But I certainly understand. I don't blame you. I wouldn't have been there that late either. Now, so we have everything in this pot. And I'm going to give all of this a really good stir. And I think I'm going to need something a little stiffer than this. Let me get my spurtle. My favorite tool, because I need for it to go down underneath of everything. And then we're going to start to do some seasoning and add the liquid. This looks great. Can you see that? Look at all those nice colors. And we're going to get all that mixed up. So I was telling you about the 2 different kinds of sausages that we're using. And these sausages have certain flavors to them that are just going to add to what we want. Okay, so this is just enough. Got a paper towel here for my spurtle. Now, I'm going to add in 2 bay leaves. And if I have a big one, then I'll put in 1 big one. I got 1 big one and 1 little baby one. So I'm going to stick him in there. But you know that before you serve this, please be sure to take the bay leaf out because it won't chew well. And that's just not what you want. All right, so we've got our bay leaf in. We're also going to add some thyme. Ebony, ivy, and thyme. So we're going to put that in. I'm going to add about a half teaspoon of dried thyme, about a half, and just kind of sprinkle that in. Like I said, we're going to be doing some stirring in a minute. Now, this is my tomato paste. I keep that in the refrigerator, and I usually buy the tube because I like the tube and it's just so convenient. So I'm going to put in probably about, well, this tube is just about empty. So I'm going to try to add most of this tube into our mixture. All right, so that does it right there. So I ended up with about one teaspoon and a half of tomato paste. That's just going to add a little thickness and going to add a little extra tomato flavor in the background. Now, I'm also going to add, this is my Costco version of Mrs. Dash. So when you see me post this recipe and I say Mrs. Dash, no salt, for those of you who have Costco, this is an organic, no salt, seasoned mix. And it's great. It is basic. It is really Mrs. Dash. It's just a way to be able to save the money. And I'm going to add in a heaping teaspoon, because remember, when you're plant-based cooking, those plants aren't really going to give you the flavor that you're looking for. And so you're going to need to adjust a little bit. I'm also going to add some garlic, and the recipe calls for 3 cloves of garlic. Now, according to this, it says that a garlic is equivalent to 1 teaspoon. So I'm going to get a clean teaspoon. I'm going to add, there's 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of garlic that we've got in there. All right, so that's ready to go. Now, I do have some Louisiana spice, and this is Tony Chacker's original Creole seasoning. Now, the only problem with Tony is that he's got salt in here, and I'm only going to add just a touch of Tony, because I don't want a lot of salt. Even though we're dealing with beans, you know, we have to limit. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of Tony in there, and I'm not going to get carried away with it, because remember, we're trying to limit our salt content or avoid it as much as we possibly can. All right, so we've got our Mrs. Dash, we've got our garlic. I'm going to add a touch of Better Than Bouillon vegetable base, and I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of it at this point. Now, I'm being very careful with what I'm adding to our crock, because I know that when this starts to cook and later when it really gets hot and really starts to boil, then I can really start to taste and see exactly where I am and what I need to add. So we've got that. Now, I have a 32-ounce container of vegetable broth. And I'm going to have to just look at this. And it may be later on that I may need to add some additional broth. But for right now, we're going to, I'm thinking we'll add, let me get my cup out of here. Y'all are going to laugh. This is my little coffee cup. But let me tell you, it measures 1 cup exactly. So we're going to put in, I'm going to start with 1 cup. And I'm going to pour that in, making sure that I get over those spices, even though I know I'm going to stir. I'm going to put in 2 cups. Okay, and I'm going to leave the rest over there just in case, because even though we soaked the beans last night, it may be that the beans will actually soak up a lot of this liquid as we go. Now I am stirring, and like I said, for those of you who are just coming in, we're working on a Louisiana. We got our Mardi Gras going. We're working on a Louisiana red beans and rice but it is vegan. So I'm putting all of this together. I'm making sure that it is well mixed because I want those spices down where they can get into that liquid. The liquid is going to soak into everything, everything. And this dish is not going to be soupy. It's going to be more like a thick stew that you're going to put over your rice. And so we're going to get this ready. Now, for the most part, and I'm going to cheat a little bit, so you kind of see where I am. You have to taste. Well, it's certainly tasting pretty good now. Now, if I were not trying to eliminate the sugar, I would probably add just a tablespoon of dark brown sugar to this. So for those of you, and I will list it as an option, you will have that choice to be able to make. Or you can even add about 1/8 of a cup of tomato ketchup. Or if you're a chili sauce person, you can add a little chili sauce in there and put in about 1/8 of a cup to 1/4 of a cup, depending upon your taste, and add that little bit of extra seasoning. Now, for those of you who know me, you know I like the spice, and I haven't added any red pepper flakes to this. So, I got to go get it. Now, I have my pepperoncinos that are here, and I'm just going to add a pinch, just a pinch, that's all, of the red pepper flakes, because I like that little hint of spice, but I don't want a lot of it. I don't want to burn up in the end. So I'm going to give this another good stir, get that pepper down in there. And, you could even add jalapenos if you wanted to. If you have some, you could certainly dice those up, take the membranes out and the seeds out so it won't be really, really hot, and add jalapenos to it. But I didn't have those today. So we're going to do with what we have. Now, this is ready to go on our crock pot that we're going to be using. And I got to go around to plug it in. Hold on. Let's get it plugged in. And we're going to get this going. There we go. Get that in. All right. Now, our crock pot is plugged. And like I said, I love this little crock pot. Look at the lid. The lid, you know how you always have to take the lid totally off? This little lid flips back. So I'm going to put this right there. And you know what? There we go. Got him in. And it flips down. But before I do that, I want to clean off the top, because as it gets hot, I don't want all these little juices and whatever's sticking. So I'm just going to clean that up a bit. Okay. And now we're ready to get this nice and hot. Now, this is a crock pot version. So we've got our power is on. I'm going to select a 4-hour. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I'm going to leave it at 4 hours. So it'll be on high. And it's on. It's ready to go. And I'm going to let it stay here. Now, this really is enough food for about 5 to 6 people. And if you have little people that you are serving, then certainly they're going to be able to, they probably won't eat as much as the adults. But once they get into this, they're not going to stop. They're going to enjoy it. And that's what you want them to do. All right, so let's go back to talking about our clean eating and our journey. We've got our crock pot going for today and our 1-pot meal. And we're looking at and talking about Some people, first of all, the plant-based journey can be one that is a little bit emotional. Let's just be honest. Some people are kind when they hear that you are eating plant-based, that you are trying to become more plant-oriented. Then it may be that some people laugh. They think it's hilarious. They are not encouraging. They say, you're not going to be able to do that. You know, um, next week I'll see you and you're going to have a chicken bone going across your mouth. And so you have to think about, first of all, a plant based journey is a mental change. It is one of purpose. It is one of determination. And it is certainly one of being intentional about what you're doing. Now, we have to be well planned. Well planned. You have to know what you're going to do for that week. You have to decide, do you have someone in your family who, like mine, who does not necessarily like leftovers? And if that's the case, then if you have any leftovers, you need space enough in your freezer that you can freeze whatever it is and bring it out a couple of weeks later. And they'll be just fine with that. They like fresh cooking. And so as that happens, you are going to want to make sure that your menu is varied. And certainly if you have, I know initially when I first started, I had hubby who was going, I want my steak, I want my chicken, I want my fish, I want all of that. And it wasn't until he figured out that I really was very determined about how I was going to eat, what I was going to eat. And I was initially willing to prepare food for him as well as food for me. Now, this is what I did. So for those of you who are considering this, the side dishes were geared for me. And the only thing I changed was his protein. I added his protein. And he ate the sides that I ate, or the vegetables that I ate, as well as his piece of protein. Now, this is the funny thing. He's not easy to change. And the nice thing is that he realized, I guess he could start to see some of the changes that were taking place. And I guess too, he could see that I was cooking for some for him and some for me. And that consistency, eventually, he was willing to try it first a week, and got through the week. And it's been my agreement with him is that, okay, 6 days on, and then on Sunday you can have whatever you want, but I don't have to eat it. I'll eat whatever I want, but he will have whatever it is that he wants. Well, he was good with that. So for about 2 months, we have been doing that. And that has been working very well. So when we got to January and it was time for our church fast, then I told him, I said, honey, Sunday, doing whatever you want is out. This is what we're doing, totally plant-based. And I'm going to need for you to work with me for those 21 days. Well, to be honest with you, I started from January 2nd, and I didn't end it until the fast ended. So he had really gotten at least 25 days of solid plant-based eating. And he started to notice his own changes. So let's talk about some of those changes. Now, before we do that, we're going to get in. We've got some more guests with us. Hello, Tamroll. It's so good to see you. And, Yes, we're having a good time this afternoon. I'm glad to see everyone here. We also have Covington Creek. What is your first name? Um, I know I had that written down, and as time goes by, I'm getting to that point where if I don't write it down and it's not right in front of my face, then I might forget. So be sure to tell me your name. Um, she said she's glad she was able to make it to a live. She's going to give this a try. She says she's always looking for red beans and rice recipes. She says she's not the biggest fan of rice, but it's growing on her. And in using different spices. Well, I certainly understand. Keep this in mind too, that you could do this with quinoa. Um, you can use another grain besides rice. That just happens to be the southern thing is to put it over rice, but it doesn't have to be over rice. You can use whatever whole grain that you like for your family and serve it over that. Or you don't even have to have rice or quinoa. You can just get a bowl of this and you're going to be one happy girl, which is always fun. Now, as we said earlier, let me get back to where I was. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. We talked about the fact that we were going to try to eliminate and, if possible, our sugars, oils, and salt. That we wanted to add more unprocessed foods, such as our fruits, our vegetables, our proteins, lean proteins. If you're doing a more of a whole food 50 or whole food 30 approach, and of course, whole grains and having nuts, but keeping them down to a minimum. We also talked about the fact that we need to be very purposeful in making sure that we read the labels and that we try to choose foods that have minimal ingredients. So, for instance, for those of you, hold on a second, for those of you who may uh, use oil, you may use olive oil or you may use avocado oil. I like grapeseed oil as well. If you're going to use those, well, first of all, you're going to use a minimal amount of those oils. I'm going to pull you in a little closer. There we go. That's good. You're going to try to use a minimal amount. But this is what's most important, is the fact that you want to make sure that you read the labels before you leave that grocery store or wherever it is that you're purchasing your oils, because you do not want any other processed item in your oils. You want pure, and if possible, organic olive oil. You want pure, organic avocado oil. Or if it's grapeseed oil, you would be good to go as well. This is one that's difficult. And for me, making sure that you drink plenty of water. Now, I have a tendency that if I'm going to drink water, I gulp down a half a gallon of water at one time. And I think that's perfect because I've gotten in the water. But it's better for us if we drink the water throughout the day. Keep a cup handy and drink that water throughout the day. And so that helps us in keeping our body fluids flowing. It also helps in our gut of making sure that our vitamins and nutrients are traveling to the places they're supposed to. And so those are things we want to be able to, that we want to happen as we're making these lifestyle changes. And we want to make sure, and this is a biggie, is to plan your meals in advance, because you not only want to plan them in advance, but you want to make sure that as you look at that meal, that you have lots of variety, because when you have variety, then that gives you more nutrition. Now, if you have little folks, it may be that you may want to supplement. And I'm not a medical doctor, and some medical doctors support plant-based diets and some don't. And some of the doctors that may be older may not necessarily support what you're doing. And so the younger doctors have started to see the benefits of a more plant based journey and are doing it themselves. So, very often, and that's what happened in my case, my doctor is plant based. So, anything I want to know about plant based, I can talk to her because she does it every day. She lives it and has lived it for a very long time. And so we try to make sure she runs the tests that I need to make sure that my nutrition levels are where they're supposed to be. And that's what you want to make sure, that those kind of things happen, that you're checking in, that you're getting blood tests at least once a year, maybe even twice a year, every 6 months, to make sure that your nutrition levels are where they should be. Now, in planning your meals, I'm not saying you have to do a 1 month of meals, and not at this point. Now, will I help you eventually get an entire 30 days of plant based meals? Of course, I will, because I'm working on that. And so, as you're planning your meals, at this point, I can do 2 weeks where I can really plan those 2 weeks. I know what I'm going to have. And I have found that I've gone back to shopping weekly. And the reason for that is because I'm buying such a vast number of fresh foods. We go every week. We get our fruits and vegetables. And what's really cool is that the sticker tag is not as outrageous as it was when I was buying meat. So the grocery bill has come down a bit, which is nice. It's nice to know. Now, I have tried to plan meals so that as I'm introducing some of the things I eat, I don't even talk about it to those who are new. I just say, how would you like some such and such? Like the grandkids were here. And I had fixed one of my vegetable soups that was just loaded with vegetables. And I didn't say a word because usually whatever I serve, they will eat. And they had beans in there. And I know, that's not necessarily at the top of their list. But you know what? They ate it and went back for seconds. And so I went, sometimes some of the things that you're doing, you don't necessarily have to make a general announcement for. Keep that in mind. We don't have to announce. We just have to say, your side dish tonight is going to be such and such, red beans and rice. And just let them try it. Give them a little bit. And when they taste it and it's tasty and delicious, then you know what? They're going to say, Mom, Granny, can I have more? And certainly you can have more. You can have all you want. And so you've made sure that you've fixed a large enough amount for them to do just that. And so that helps them to have a more mature taste bud system, because when they're little, their little taste buds are very limited. And so we want them to develop a more savory, delicious palate, so that they're able to eat the things that we're thinking about preparing. Now, this is the one where all of you are going to go, oh no. And especially those of you who are young cooks, you have to prepare your meals at home. And I don't, well, let me go back. I don't want to say you have to prepare your meals at home, because you don't have to prepare all of them at home, but you want to prepare most of your meals at home. And the reason for that is because you are in control of what's going into your body and your family's body. You know, we want to be healthy, but we want to take them on that healthy journey too. And they don't have to necessarily know that that's what we're doing. We just want them to know that this is really good. I'm going to have this tonight. And And most littles are going to eat whatever mom and dad are eating anyway. They're going to want to taste it. And it was funny. I told you we've had such a fun weekend, and we had the big guys party, and my granddaughter, younger granddaughter, she's not the youngest, but she's next to the youngest granddaughter. We were trying to get her to try oysters Rockefeller. And guys, I have to tell you, if you could have seen her face when she put it in her mouth, and because it's all about the texture. She likes spinach, she loves cheese, and the oyster was the part that was new. And so she got it in her mouth and started to chew, and it was like, oh, I don't know if I like this or not, because it was a new texture. And it wasn't so much the flavor, because she had all the other flavors there to kind of disguise the oyster, but it was all about the texture. So as we're throwing little samples out, let your littles add the ingredients into the pot. Make them a part of what you're doing so they can see, oh, we're going to put this in. Yeah, okay, let's put that in. How about adding a little so-and-so? Oh, can I do it? Sure you can. Let them add it into the pot. And when they become one of the cooks in the kitchen, you will notice that they're going to try whatever they helped cook. Now, it may not be their favorite item, but they're going to try it nonetheless, because they had a hand in it, and they want everyone at the table to say how wonderful it is. So absolutely, they've got to make sure that they at least put on the front of thinking that they're going to be the ones to enjoy what they're doing. Now, keep in mind too, when you're preparing your meals at home, it does not have to be a tedious thing. Use your tools, use your crock pots, use, if you have one, an Instapot, use your Dutch ovens. And I think I could do a whole month of cooking and not have to touch any real specialty items. I don't have to use a slow cooker. I could have done this on the stove in a Dutch oven, still a one pot. But if I had not put it into the crock pot, then I'd have to watch it. So if you're busy and you have a lot going on, then you want to make sure that you have some type of reasonable slow cooker, so that you can put everything in there and walk away. And when you come back for about 30 minutes before dinner, give it a really good stir, check those spices, taste it, make sure that it's just right, and have dinner on the table in a very, very short amount of time. That's another benefit of cooking plant-based, is time. I can have dinner on the table in anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. Oh, I love it. I love it. And My kitchen doesn't smell oily. My kitchen doesn't smell greasy. I'm not constantly cleaning up any grease or oils and those kind of things. Your kitchen stays cleaner. Now, I have 5 ways to tell if your plant based journey is working. Number one, you're going to find that you have a more consistent energy supply. You're going to, you just do. You have more energy. You're getting the nutrients that your body needs, and you can go and do, and it just seems endless all day. Where normally you might have had to stop at sometime in the day and had a nappy. Now, that's not to say there's anything wrong with the nappy, because I like a good nappy. But when I do, it's purpose driven, because I want to stay up for something that's going on later. Second, those of us who suffer sometimes from anxiety, sometimes that some of those anxiety is diet related. There are some things going on in your body that you need fixed. And so some of the anxiousness that you may feel when you start to eat a more plant driven diet, I'm saying plant driven, because all of us are not necessarily able to just go plant based all at once. And if that's the case, it's okay. Also, you're going to see that and this is going to be one of the first ones, your skin is going to start to glow. Start to glow. You're going to notice a difference in the condition of your skin, and it's going to start to improve. Who doesn't want beautiful skin? We all want it, and we do whatever we can do to make it happen. Now, you're going to find that your hair is going to be healthier and shinier. You want all of that. Who doesn't want beautiful hair, beautiful skin? We all do. And it doesn't matter if you're 18, 15, 85, or in your 70s. We want good skin and good hair. Now, what I have also noticed, my teeth stay cleaner. And when I had my dental checkup, they didn't have to do all the scraping and prying and all that stuff. Didn't have to do it, because what I'm eating, once I drink the water afterwards, whatever that is being washed away. So you're going to notice that your dental health is going to be better as well. Now, for those of us who work out, your workout sessions, you will find will be more efficient, because you've got that increased energy level. Now, will you find that you may eat a little more because you're eating more plants and fruits? Absolutely. And guess what? You're going to trim some of your body fat. And that happens gradually and slowly. And, one day you're thinking, I don't see much. And then give it a month or so, start to put on something, and you have to move the belt buckle. You have to move it over, because your body fat is starting to dissolve. So all of these are things we love and we want to happen. We want to be able to have a more productive kitchen. We want to make sure that we're planning those good meals. We want to cook good meals. Now, I see I've got Sister Eleonora that's with us. See if I can get her. There she is. She said it's usually tedious when she cooks. She said she doesn't know how to make it easy. Well, Sister Eleonora, this is my suggestion. Start with those ingredients that you use a lot of, and do a little prep work if you can. Get your onions cut in advance. You might even go ahead and get your celery and your carrots and those fresh vegetables that you know that you're going to be using throughout the week. Get those prepped early so that when you're ready to actually start to cook that meal, you can go to the container where I'm starting with onions. You can go to the container where the onions are. And I keep these little containers. I ordered them through Amazon, and I'll fill this tightly with onions. I'll fill another one tightly with celery. And so when I'm ready to cook, I just have to sprinkle it in. I don't have to stop and do the cooking or to do the chopping. That saves time. And I don't know if you work outside of the home or in the home, but if you're working either way, in or out, you may want to invest. And you know what? Sometimes you can even pick up a used crock pot that is that you might find at a Goodwill or a Salvation Army if you don't want to buy one. Or sometimes they're sitting on your children's shelves and they're not using them. And I know my daughter and I exchange things all the time because now that I'm going to smaller batches of cooking, then she needs the larger batch of cooking. So all the large capacity things I've passed over to her, and the smaller capacity things she's given to me that she had when she was first starting out. And it's worked out perfectly. And so because of that, that gives you a chance to be able to save the time of the chopping and the dicing and all that. I know that can wear you out. And so if you do take a day, take an afternoon, take about 15 to 20 minutes. I like 15, and get as many vegetables chopped up as you possibly can. If you're planting broccoli, then go ahead and get your broccoli in the size that you need so that when you're ready to actually cook, all that's done. It makes it so much easier and so much faster. And so I hope that has helped a little bit. And certainly, if you will, and if you haven't already, go back and check out some of the videos along the way. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it a plan this week to put together a playlist for those of us who are either just getting started or you've got that question mark over your head. Now, how do I make this easier? Such as what Sister Eleonora asked. And so there, I'm going to give you some videos that you can start to look at so that you can start to make your kitchen so much more fun. And, you know, I love having fun here in the kitchen, but I don't want to be in here all day. You know, I got other things to do. And so you will have an opportunity to use your kitchen at the time that you want it. I can walk in here. We'd like to eat about 5 o'clock. So at 4:30 is when I walk into the kitchen. Dinner is being served at 5 o'clock. Now, that's when it's fun. But that doesn't happen unless you prep. That is certainly something that you want to do. Tutu Loves Minnie says that she's been following all of the healthy and vegan cooking that we've been doing. She said, I would like it maybe 4 days a week, but her husband hates all vegetables except green beans and peas. And she said she's tried to, she has tried to just have more fish. Well, you know, that's okay. But there's a whole lot of ways to fix those green beans and peas. So while that may be his two go-to vegetables, this is my suggestion to you, is to prepare something for you on the side. And you can have his favorite green beans or peas or whatever it may be, but add another little something off to the side and put just a little bit of it on his plate, or ask him to try that. Taste this, honey. Tell me what you think. And it may be that he may start to like some of those dishes that you're preparing along the way. My husband didn't like them either, didn't like them at all. And while he liked vegetables, I can't say he did like vegetables, but he wanted half of his plate in the meat. And he squeezed in a little bit of vegetable. So that gives us an opportunity that we're going to work together. And hopefully they're going to start to come on board. And I'm going to be right here in the kitchen. I'm going to share with you those things that work and those things that don't. And, sometimes we prepare recipes that, you put your heart and soul into. And that's the reason why we taste along the way. And we want to make sure that when we serve whatever it is, that our family's going to like it. We're going to like it because they're watching our face to see, what is she thinking about that for real? And if they see that you are enjoying whatever it is, then they may start to, if nothing else, get a spoonful and try it. And they might say, well, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. And, we just keep trying and we keep moving forward. We do it intentionally to make sure that we are providing what we can healthy for them. And if hubby likes those green beans, girl, I'd have every green bean recipe there was that I could put on that table, and serving up those peas, because you want to make sure that if those are the vegetables that he likes, that he gets as many of them as he possibly can. So I want you to enjoy today. For those of you who might have been a little late coming in, I certainly hope that you will go back and watch a replay, because we've talked about a lot of information. We've cooked a dish, got it in the crock pot, ready to go. I had a chance to share with you. Oh, Gina, it's okay. Catch the replay. You'll enjoy it. I had a chance to share with you a new little item, a little crock pot, and I love it. Look, the lid stays right there. I don't have to worry about it. It's right there ready to go. And it's so easy to work with. But this is a nice small size for a smaller family. All of us don't have a large family. Now, if you have a large family, you're going to need the crock pot I have outside, because it's an 8-quart. And when I'm serving my whole family, then I'm going to have 2 of those at least going, because I know they're going to wipe that out. And so I keep the large crock pots, and I've got my little crock pot. This is a little 4.5 quart crock pot that I think you'll enjoy. So, guys, have a fantastic Mardi Gras, Valentine's. Have fun with your significant other, and do something fun. If it means that tomorrow, is that right? Let me look at the day after tomorrow, on the 14th, that your honey wants a nice big 1-inch thick steak, then it's okay. It's okay. Thick steak for him. Make him happy. Celebrate Valentine together, and everybody's on the side. And so enjoy every moment, because it's special, and we're making every day and every